Grand Rising, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday. And you guys know we do this as a duo. Let me bring in my co-host, Big O. What up, Big O?
Good morning, Trey Holiday. Happy Monday to you. I hope that you had a great weekend.
Sure did.
Yeah,
lots of great work, man, out there. You know, I know Converge was streaming the state of Africa town. It was a beautiful event, hearing from so many amazing people. It's great work.
Yeah, maybe you can tell everybody. Give me 1 second so you can tell everybody about it. Want to say good morning and welcome our viewing audience out there, man. We really appreciate you. This is a great time right here, right now to tag and share the stream. Share the Morning Update Show with people that you know, people you just met, people you know in a long time that can appreciate some culturally relevant news and information emanating from the Central District of Seattle.
Absolutely.
So you said, and we carried the state of Africa town on Saturday. Maybe you can briefly tell everybody about it.
Well, it was just phenomenal. I mean, 8th annual State of Africa Town, been holding it down to make sure that people can hear from some amazing work happening on the ground. We had some amazing local folks presenting. Coach Dom out there with Community Passageways doing amazing work. And one of the things that he said that really struck me was, diverting over 300 years of time that would be served in prison or jail, diverting that through their programming. And so it's just a beautiful thing to hear things like that. We also heard from the Honorable Charles Barron out there in New York representing the 60th District in Brooklyn. And he brought such a powerful message about really the difference between, moving from mobilizing to organizing. We had some amazing folks just in the community that were here, and then folks that were beyond. So it was really great to hear from so many amazing people.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You can actually see, you can go to any of our social platforms and watch the State of Africa Town in its entirety. A full show here today. We've got Edwin Lindo, and I asked Edwin to send me like a list of like, well, what's your title? He's like, oh, I do this, UW, I do that. I've got this Estelita's Library. I've got North Star Cycling. We're talking to him today, though, about cycling and about this helmet law that they want repealed. And I didn't know there was so much traction around this helmet law. I mean, since I tweeted this out yesterday, that he was going to be a guest, man, we've gotten so much feedback and response. We got him. And of course, we got the dean of the class, Mr. Tony B, is going to be joining us in the second half of the show to talk about Black History Month programming there on Rainier Avenue Radio. Let's get into the headlines. The first one is just, man, it's just tragic. Bring this up here. The U.S. getting ready to mark 500,000 deaths from COVID-19. And on the New York Times today, on the front page of the page, it starts with one dot. And I think that was a dot that was here in Seattle. And it goes in all the way down to like 500,000 dots to mark 500,000 COVID deaths. And, this is something for us as well, because this is where the Morning Update Show started was, a lot of people tuning out, they want news, information, this and that. This show started almost 1 year ago now, just to bring tailored or curated information around COVID to people in our community.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that we've been following since day one, trying to make sure that our community was informed with resources, because there was a lot of information coming out at the beginning and people were trying to decipher through all of the information. And so we wanted to be sure that we had a direct way of bringing messaging. There was a lot of local resources, folks investing in it heavily at the beginning. And then we saw how some of those resources dwindled. We saw how some didn't really hit the Black community. We wanted to make sure that people had a full understanding of how we were seeing all of this play out as well locally here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a tragic milestone that we're marking here. And I'm sure that we'll be discussing this more with producer Nikki Barron on the Coronavirus Update Show. But it's tragic, 500,000. I know quite a few people myself that passed away from COVID, friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this next one here comes to us from our partners at the South Seattle Emerald. It is a bill to replace driving while poor law moves through state Senate. A bill could reduce Washington's most commonly charged crime is making its way through the state Senate. The bill would provide relief and opportunity to thousands of residents who have been impacted by the state driver's license suspension policies, driving while suspended in the third degree. It's the least serious crime for driving while suspended. The misdemeanor can be charged in a variety of contexts. The most common occurs when a driver receives a ticket for a moving violation but does not follow through by paying the ticket or showing up into court. It is the most frequently charged offense, affecting tens of thousands of residents every year. This is the South Seattle Emerald, written by Jack Russillo. Just driving while suspended in the third. So it looks like they want to make some changes to that. They call it driving while poor. They're saying a lot of people can't pay their fines, and then fines accelerate or accumulate.
Yeah, I know plenty of people who had their license suspended because of this very thing. And I'm really glad that now it's being looked at, because it really is a class issue. We talk about a lot of things with, kind of our lens as, Black people, raised in the Central District, but ultimately this is a class issue. And I'm really glad that they're looking at this, because it's unfortunate. I mean, when you think about people that are struggling to figure out, all right, do I put gas in my car so I can make it to work to pay my bills? Or do I pay this fine? I mean, sometimes it really boils down to those kind of decisions, Hero.
Right, and it really is. It also comes down to, you're right. It's a class or an ability to pay or a poverty issue. A lot of times we think that it's like, it's just Black people, people of color who are stopped at a higher proportion in a lot of cases, but this poverty, people all over the state of Washington can't pay their fines. And one thing I will say about the city of Seattle, at least, is you can go down there, you can negotiate, you can make a payment plan. There's a lot of municipalities across the state of Washington where they can't. And they'll fine you and fine you and fine you. And then you get, the Senate summons, you get an FTA, and then you go and pay off your fines in jail and everything else. So it's like the city of Seattle itself is a little bit more ahead of the rest of the state when it comes to these kind of fines, but it definitely impacts poor people
all over the state. You're absolutely right. And I think one of the things too to note there is, you can do something like community service hours to try to pay off some of these fines. But again, if that's what you try to do several times, they'll start saying no to that as well. So it is a limited amount of times where you can say, I need some type of alternative to paying this fine. The great thing is that, throughout King County, at least, that those options are available. So, hey, if you are one of those people, those drivers that find yourself in this situation, please look into some of the alternative ways to take care of these fines so that you do not suffer, these misdemeanor charges.
All right. Next up here, this is from the Medium, right? We got this here. Inslee names Karen A. Johnson, Director of New State Office of Equity. Governor Jay Inslee recently named Karen A. Johnson, PhD, Director of the newly created State Office of Equity. The Office of Equity, established by the legislature, was signed into law by Inslee in 2000. The office will work with agencies to increase access to equitable opportunities in order to bridge opportunity gaps and reduce disparities. The office will also work with communities to develop the state's 5-year equity plan. So Karen A. Johnson, PhD, named Director of State Office of Equity, and people can read more about that at the SeattleMedium.com.
Yeah, this is another one right here. I mean, I think Governor Inslee is trying to do a lot of different measures to shore up the fact that Washington has the opportunity to lead in a lot of these spaces and showcase to the rest of the nation how you can do this at a statewide level. So kudos to Governor Inslee, kudos to Karen A. Johnson taking on, this amazing opportunity in this position. I think it is important to, again, one of the things the article states is that they're going to be working with community folks. And that is so important and key and crucial to making sure that this policy is all inclusive in that regard, that it really is listening to the needs of the people on the ground that are really working with community members and individuals to shore up a lot of the disparity gaps that exist there. So I'm glad to hear this, though.
All right. Also, keeping it with the Seattle Medium, this was one that caught your eye, right?
Yes, absolutely. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee leads the U.S. reparations bill, H.R. 40. This is really exciting because this bill was actually first introduced by Democratic Representative John Conyers Jr. in 1989. So it has had many, many years of reforming the language, getting more people on board. Right now, the most number of people are on board with this than have been in its history. That's 166 at the State House, or at the National House. And honestly, this is so needed. One of the things that I really appreciate about this bill, and something that was said there and noted in the article, was that, look, I'm doing this for the families that have been struggling day in, day out, the moms and dads that go to work every day to support their children, and also really establishing more about this bill in terms of enslavement being looked at as a human rights violation. And I think that that is really key here when we're talking about this, because oftentimes reparations is nothing new. As I said, introduced in 1989, but now to understand it in terms of human rights violations, that's really the way to be looking at this.
Well, it's also nothing new for the U.S. government to have paid reparations to different groups of people as well. So what are your thoughts on reparations? Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comment. Be nice though, man. You know what I'm saying? It's Monday. Share your thoughts, but let's be nice in the comments. I got one last clip here. I see that Edwin Lindo is in the green room and looking sharp too. Got a nice red hat and everything. I got one more clip here. We're gonna hurry up and get Edwin on because we want as much time as possible to talk to him about a bunch of different things. NASA the other day, they launched the SS Katherine Johnson. And you guys might remember Katherine from the movie Hidden Figures. Well, this rocket took off from Virginia and went to bring 8,000 pounds of supplies to the space shuttle. It was also his brother up there in the space shuttle. Remember, he was up there for 6 months. We covered that. I just thought it was a good way to end this segment right here, showing this rocket takeoff.
T-minus 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have engine ignition.
Main engine start. And we have liftoff up in Aries for the NG-15 mission, the Wallops Flight Facility. Engines are at 100%. Attitude, core pressures, and vehicle subsystems are nominal.
The SS Katherine Johnson takes flight on this, the 59th anniversary of John Glenn's Mercury flight, carrying 8,000 pounds of cargo to the International Space Station. Good performance on the first stage so far.
You know, I'm all into like space and science and rockets and physics and everything. I don't know how I ended up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I read so many books and stuff on space and everything. But I mean, this was a special moment, especially people who know the story of Katherine Johnson and Hidden Figures and everything else. The SS Katherine Johnson.
You know what a way to honor the amazing work of Miss Katherine Johnson. I mean, honestly, so many of us eye-opened, right, when we saw the movie Hidden Figures and understood how integral Black women were to that, you know, amazing triumph from NASA. So once again, you know, it's a great way that they were able to honor her with this liftoff.
Yeah, it's dope. All right, we're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we've got Edwin Lindo. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. He does a lot of stuff. So we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie. This practice. Pondering my next move. Staring at my track list. Hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. And definitely want to thank all of you who support us here at Converge Media. You literally keep us on the air. Big shout out to our $5 army. You know what I'm saying? They keep showing up, man. And we appreciate you. So last week, this article came out there in the Times. Michelle Baruchman, racial disparities prompt calls to repeal King County's bicycle helmet law. And even Michelle on her Twitter was talking about like she was getting so many emails about it, you know, because like there's so many different ways to look at it. Like, you know, clearly you wear a helmet, it's going to protect your brain, you get hit or something. But then there's the issues of enforcement and, you know, who's enforced and access and some of everything else. Edwin Lindo is in that article written by Michelle Baruchman. And so we thought that we talked to Edwin about it. Oh, yeah, please bring in Edwin Lindo.
What's going on, family?
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. Is my audio all right?
You're a little hot. You know, it's live
I got you.
Okay.
There you go. Is that better?
There we go.
Yeah.
Quick fixes. What's up, brother?
It's good. It's good to see you, Triana. I miss you.
Yes, you too. I know. I miss you too.
So we'll there we go. We'll go into the wide. It's fine. All right. So first of all, this is my before we go into this, you're not advocating that people shouldn't wear helmets, are you?
No, that's not my position. Not at all.
Just wanted to be good. Triana remembers. I tell people all the time, man, you got a helmet, wear it, man. Remember, I got hit. I was on a bike, no helmet. You know what I'm saying? Landed on my head. If people thought I had a hard head, I really do. Landed on my head and everything else, and that's all that it took. For me, that's all that it took for me. Well, okay, there we go. For me to wear a helmet, and so I just wanted to get that out of the way early. You're not saying that people should not wear a helmet.
No, I mean to put into context, me and our brethren connector, Aaron Bassett, and one of the other co-organizers, Kay, you know, we started North Star Cycling, one of the largest BIPOC cycling clubs and racing teams in the Pacific Northwest, if not the West Coast. And every one of our riders has helmets. We've had Topspin, who you bring on quite a bit, amazing DJ. He's been collecting helmets to bring so that our folks can have them for free when they go on rides. We know the benefit of helmets. We also know that when you criminalize our communities for either being poor, not having access, or not having the education of knowing why they should, then this is just another reason to put people in handcuffs and send them to jail. And that just seems absurd to us. It's definitely absurd to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things too that you guys have, I mean, there's so many great groups working on this. I know Seattle Central Greenways is really also a part of this movement. But how do you guys band together to ensure that they understand this is really a collective movement and a collection of voices that understand this issue in terms of, again, another class issue here, brother?
Yeah, it really is. And I've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of texts. There are even researchers who did the research around the helmet studies that have reached out and said, we need to talk because it sounds like you're saying we need to not have people wearing helmets. And I'm like, that's not what I said. What we're saying is, how do we collectively think about, one, what the policy should be, two, what enforcement looks like, and three, do our folks have access? And that takes some work. And so collectively, I appreciate Cascade, Greenways, others coming around and saying, hey, we have a responsibility to make sure we're not hurting our communities, particularly our marginalized BIPOC communities. But what that looks like is, let's be imaginative. When the reporter asked me, well, what alternatives do you have? And I'm like, well, if the goal here is to actually make sure people are safe, then why would we give them a ticket and still let them ride off without a helmet? Instead of just saying, yo, I see you don't have a helmet. I got 10 in the trunk. Let me give you one. People respond with, oh, well, Edwin, it doesn't matter if they have a helmet. People just won't wear it. Then what that says to me is that's our job to figure out how we educate. Because guess what? We have warning signs on cigarettes. We don't have laws that say you can't smoke cigarettes. We have a lot of warning signs that said, hey, if you're going to smoke cigarettes, there's a high likelihood you're going to get cancer. another potential alternative is every bike that's sold should come with a helmet. It doesn't make sense that it doesn't, because if you buy the bike and you ride it out of the store, you're already in violation of the law. So again, there's a lot of things that are in conflict that we should be wrestling with and thinking critically about.
What are some of the disparities for people that are new to this topic right here? When you talk about disparities in enforcement around the helmet law, maybe you could expound a bit more about that.
Yeah, so the black cycling population is about 4.7% here in Seattle, King County. But they made up over 17% of the citations for not wearing helmets. We have a number of riders in North Star that have been messaging and saying, man, I've gotten stopped 3 times alone. And they had not had their helmet with them. They wanted to wear it. They didn't. But why are we thinking about enforcement as the mechanism to keep people safe? I think we have to think about, and you were talking about disparity, and in the article they mentioned even jaywalking. There was one officer that gave out 10% of the jaywalking enforcement citations. And the large majority of them, I think it was 36%, were to black folks. This is wild that we're using effectively broken window laws, because if you get stopped for a helmet infraction and they think they have probable cause or reasonable suspicion that you're carrying drugs or something else because of their experience, this now leads down the rabbit hole of, oh, well, I didn't stop him for these things, but he didn't have a helmet, so I have the right to do that. Let's stop penalizing our people just because of who we are, because of class, as Triana mentioned, because of access and, again, education. We need to be so much more focused on, and I want to be clear, I'm an abolitionist, and so much more focused on how do we decarcerate, how do we de-harm our communities by focusing on us. Like, if I see someone riding down the street, North Star tells them, yo, can we get you a helmet? How can we help you? That's the community accountability I think we should be focused on, because it will lead to the continued disparities.
Absolutely. I also wonder too how much you guys have looked at this in terms of it really being about the fact that when we have these citations, they come with fines. That means that once again, it's almost like feeding into, you know, I hate to say it all the time, but just this capitalistic mindset of, you know what, let's actually have the helmets be a separate charge than incorporating them in the bike sale, like you said. And also let's enforce helmet law by writing out citations and fines that people have to pay. How much of that do you think is really a part of why the legislation is the way it is? Yeah,
you hit it on the head. So clearly. Let's put it this way. The citation could be between $30 to $150, depending if you don't pay it on time. If you don't pay it on time, you're likely going to have to go to court to defend it if you want to. Let's think of the number of people that are involved in this process. You have the officer that has to give the citation. Let's say that takes half an hour of time. You have the bailiff in the courtroom. You have the attorneys. You have the judges. You have the people who have to keep those places open. At minimum, the cost of enforcing this citation is, and this is me and my estimates, is about $500 per citation. $500. You can buy 50 people an amazing helmet with $500. This is really no different than the fair enforcement against youth and elderly and unhoused folks on Sound Transit. We're paying people $70,000 to $90,000 a year to enforce a $3 violation that they won't even be able to pay, and the violation is $150. Can we take those salaries and just give someone a yearly subscription to Sound Transit so they don't get a citation at all? Oh my goodness. I'm not an economist, but it makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I have a question for you, Edwin. When you talk about the access to bike infrastructure, and I guess equal access for it, a lot of the bike infrastructure that was built around Seattle and even across the I-90 lid, and through downtown when they were putting in these bike things, the percentage of, at least me visually, moving around the city, I don't have numbers, but as somebody who used to live right over there at Mount Baker, and you see people coming across on the bike path in downtown, you didn't really see a lot of black bicyclists. And even when, as the infrastructure has been built across the city to accommodate bicyclists, we didn't really see a lot of black bicyclists. Now that there are more and more black people that are using this infrastructure that was built with public dollars, what kind of, are there any kind of access issues that people are facing? I know that I read somewhere in the article that it hasn't always been easy riding, so to speak.
Yeah, no, and you asked a great question. Let's think about the north end versus the south end. Right in the north end, especially on Burke Gilman Trail, you got people who spray paint wherever the potholes are. Those potholes get fixed incredibly quickly. You have really beautiful roads. You have people who take care of the bike lanes, people who get paid to take care of the bike lanes. You come to the south end, I live in Beacon Hill, you hop on Beacon Ave, it's like riding on gravel. You might as well be on a gravel road because of how beat up these roads are. And we have communities that in valid ways are saying, look, I just don't feel safe riding in the street. The cars are right next to me. Even if I'm wearing my helmet, it doesn't feel secure, especially if I'm bringing my child with me. And there is a huge disparity. And as always, and this is in a lot of the work that I do, I talk about the redlining that existed here in Seattle. Well, the redlining that existed in Seattle up until the mid-1970s, there through Madison Avenue, and where the grant deeds up north said you can't sell, resell, or rent to a non-Aryan race person. That existence still is happening today. It just doesn't need that language anymore. We see the segregated forms of resources and allocation of resources from the south to the north. We see it in the PTAs. We see it in the way that citations are given out. And I say, now let's reckon with that. Let's break it open and say, yo, this is terrible. It harms our communities, and it doesn't make us feel good because it just feels like we're constantly monitored. But yeah, the access to the nice roads, access to safety, to dedicated bike lanes, they're working on it. There's a bike lane project happening in Beacon. It's beautiful. I've been in some of the conversations, but there's so much more that needs to do that. The reason those things are occurring, and I'm going to call it what it is gentrification. I know that because I grew up in the Mission District in San Francisco, and guess what? These bike share programs, these new bike lanes didn't come until tech money came. Our communities would have loved to have those bike lanes. Why do we have to wait until tech folks come in for us to get access to the good things? I'm saying let's do it now while our community's still here.
Well, I mean, yeah, growing up in the Central District on 23rd, we always wanted all kinds of new lights, new sidewalks, safety measures for our elders and children when they cross the street and everything else. I mean, neighborhoods changed, it's been gentrified, all those things are there. When you talk about it, it's one of these anecdotal things. I don't have any numbers or things like that, or you might have a better understanding. But also what people say is that as far as safety with bikes and even the trains and some of everything else, that it's like there's more accidents occurring in areas of Seattle with bikes than in other areas. Now, I don't know how that correlates. I just talk to people in the South End. They're like, oh, man, somebody just got smacked over there on their bike. I don't know if that's a real thing or if that's just what people are seeing, and I'm not talking to enough people in other neighborhoods.
No, it's a good point. I don't have the numbers on me. I do know that I hear it more in the South End. But Brother Omari, I'll ask you, where in Seattle is the only place where sound transit travels at street level?
South Seattle.
Right.
I mean, 100%. I mean, you have... So, I ride the Link Light Rail. So it comes out of International Station. So you got International Station. It comes out of there. You go to Stadium Station. You go to Soto Station, which are ground level. That's in industrial areas. And then back up. So I think to your point, the only residential areas that it's on the ground is in South Seattle.
Right. Where we have the highest levels of accidents with sound transit. I live right down the street. I'm on Dawson. And that intersection, I worry every time that my teenager or my young daughter riding with my wife, it's terrifying to know that these trains are coming by, and granted there's lights and everything. And I know the argument for is that, well, it was the only way we're going to able to do it, considering funding, considering capacity. And I'm like, but folks got real creative in other parts of the city. And granted, this is in the past, but I'm saying, how do we think moving forward we provide access preemptively, instead of not saying, oh, well, this is what we're left with, and we'll have to have ground level transit where there's higher likelihood of accidents. That's not happenstance. It happens because it's the poorer, more diverse, more melanated communities. Because guess what? Folks in Queen Anne ain't going to let that happen. They're going to make it loud and clear, no, you can't do that. They already do. They mad that there was a bus coming through the neighborhood because, quote unquote, poor people were going to come into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're getting me up. You got me, my blood level's up.
No, because obviously this is not just an issue that you take up arbitrarily. It is a part of your everyday lived experience. And one of the things that I want to mention here is that oftentimes when we're talking about caring for our sidewalks, our streets, those are not necessarily the most, spotlighted issues or the most sexy issues to kind of talk about. We talk about here in terms of like bridge maintenance, not always being like, a sexy thing for folks to talk about. So how much are you guys involved in really educating the community on these disparities and on the issues and allowing them to see themselves as a part of the solution?
Yeah. So North Star, we started less than a year ago, maybe almost a year ago. And we got 80 Black, brown, indigenous, melanated folks on bicycles, riding on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. Many folks just started riding. Other folks are racers. Other folks have been doing it their whole life. But they see that we have a voice, right? Our commitment, our role as North Star is that we want to be the social justice focus conscious of cycling. And so we have our clubhouse on 21st and Union. They're going to be building a new corridor for cycling up and down Union. And Union has been gentrified quite a bit, as we know. But we've also made it clear, and we're grateful, we have members of Sound Transit that ride with us, and they're like, hey, you got to connect to ensure that North Star and melanated folks who are part of this movement have a voice in the way that this looks. So we do our best to be in all of it. I think we can be in more. We have amazing minds, amazing skills in North Star. But it is important because you're right. It isn't the most attractive thing, right? It's like, oh, it's a sidewalk, whatever. Yeah, that sidewalk saves lives. That sidewalk gives access to folks who are wheelchair bound, who are on bicycles and maybe slightly older, with families with children who have their strollers, right? We have to find ways to accommodate, because when we take care of those who are most marginalized, everyone else inevitably is going to benefit from that. And I think that's the way we got to approach this.
Yeah.
Right. And now real quick, because I actually want to talk to you about one other thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
For people who want to connect with you in North Star, what's the information or the web address?
Yeah, you can check. We have northstarcycling.org. We have our Instagram at northstarcycling. And you can check in. We ride Wednesday nights if you're a little faster and you want to get a sweat on. Wednesday nights and Sundays, a nice chill ride. Yesterday, went to Daybreak Star. And we're going to bring both of y'all at some point. We got helmets for you. We got bikes for you. And we'll take it nice and easy.
Believe me, I got a helmet now. It only took me one time, bro. Hey,
I'm ready for that.
real quick. I mean, I said that you wear many hats, and today you got on a sharp hat, by
Thank
the
you.
way. You're also doing some other things in community, things around COVID, education, equity, and things like that. You got about 3 minutes here, so
Okay.
maybe you can update everybody.
Yeah, real quick. And before I get into that, I just want folks that are watching on Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube, y'all got to support this. Support our brothers and sisters doing this amazing work. Converge Media, Triana, Omari, because this is not easy work. I run a podcast, I've done video, but like, this is hard work on a daily basis, and they're bringing you the truth. Not because I'm on it, because I watch it and the truth is being told. And I'm so grateful for what y'all do. But as far as my other hats, right, I'm Assistant Dean for Social and Health Justice at the School of Medicine here at UW. I'm on the task force for equitable vaccination rollout with Paula Houston in the Office of Healthcare Equity. And what we're seeing in the data, unfortunately, is that our communities, our melanated folks, particularly in the South End, just aren't accessing the vaccine for a number of valid reasons. And I'll make it very plain. Because there's a healthcare system that is untrustworthy, not because our folks mistrust it, it's because they've proven to be untrustworthy, and that's work that it has to do. But at the same time, we want to ensure that folks have all the information and the resources and the access that they need to get the vaccine if and when they decide to do so. And so I'd love to come back at some point and bring some experts to answer any questions folks may have about the vaccine, about testing, about COVID. And let's lay it bare and let's really get into it, because there's a lot of valid questions of, is this even something I should be taking? Why should I take it? and what is the benefit? And those all could be answered, and would love to come back and discuss those.
Yeah, well, I mean, you throw it out there, and see, producer Nikki Barron's in the green room, so
All
she
right.
just heard every word that you said. So I know that we're going to have you back on air here very soon. Edwin Lindo, thank you so much for taking time to join us this morning.
Thank you so
It was
much,
a
brother.
pleasure. Appreciate y'all.
All right. So, Edwin stays busy. Like I said, I was reading all these things. He's got Estelita's library as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things about it, though, is that so many people in our community, again, we say it all the time, you're wearing multiple hats because that's like what's required of you right now. And we need that energy in all the spaces that he's in. I've been at different tables with him, and he brings that same level of authenticity and passion to everything he does. Just a genuine brother, man. So, if he's involved, I love to know what he's got going on, because I'm like, if you're there, bruh, it must be something real.
Right. And I think a few important things that you hit on is because, it's automatically people like, is this guy advocating people shouldn't wear him? Definitely wear a helmet. And, maybe if, like I said, some of these things you're talking about, how we get people helmets. He said in North Star, they work to be able to get people helmets who need helmets. So I think everyone agrees that a helmet keeps people safe. I think that the bigger issue is around enforcement around it and how the laws are enforced, but also access. He talked about, where infrastructure investments are being made around bicycle lanes and where they're not being made. Hey, we got the dean of the class, Mr. Tony B, is in the green room right now. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Tony's going to tell us all about Rainier Avenue Radio's Black History Month programming for this week. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury, joined here by my buddy.
Hey, what's up, Trey Holiday, y'all?
All right, so we've got Tony B in the green room. Can you please bring in Tony B?
What's up?
There he is.
Hey.
Good morning, Tony B.
Hey, I'm looking at myself and I'm going, wow, my hair is a mess, but that's just the way it is. So, okay.
Hey, bro, at least you still got some. You still holding on.
How you come, yes.
All right, Tony B. I mean, you've definitely had a program-filled month over there thus far at Rainier Avenue Radio. Lots of great shows, information, tidbits, facts. I see some of your stuff reprinted in other places. I see some of the things that you produce. People are amplifying, other news channels are amplifying your good works over there. Tell us what's going on this week at Rainier Avenue Radio.
Well, this is it for Black History Month. Having said that, this is certainly not, you don't have to stop becoming interested in the African American experience. It's just Black History Month. So this is the final week for Black History Month, and we're going to do it big. You dig? We got a lot going on this week. So tomorrow, we'll have Conversations in Black, hosted by Tina Marie Tyler, and we'll be talking about the digital divide. She'll have Maynard Okriki, the host of the Hip Hop Science Show, and Dina Perot, founder of iUrban Teen. That's at 5:30 tomorrow. Then again tomorrow night, exploring another aspect of African-American culture, Chicago Steppin' by Styles of Steppin'. That's at 7:30, and it'll be a dance exhibition. So if you want to learn how to step, if you want to see how it's done, if you anything like that, that's at 7:30 tomorrow for those who want to check that out. I think it's really cool, by the way. And then let's see here, Wednesday, South Seattle's very own Benjamin Hunter will be performing a one-man show that'll be a combination of him singing, playing instruments, and doing storytelling as well. And that's at 8 o'clock, and that's coming live from the historic Columbia City Theater. Thursday, John Yansitaki, host of Seattle Here and Now, will once again be talking to our very own Mr. James Hasty. James went to Franklin, played professional football, and just discussions about hate and hate groups and things that James has been involved in lately. So that's an opportunity to catch up with James Hasty, one of our South Seattle and Seattle favorites here, James. Friday, we'll be having a workshop, a panel discussion, racial equity in the film industry. It's going to be hot. And so a bunch of different folks on there, hosted by Anthony Tackett, who I know y'all know very well, and a number of other folks, Cleve Tyson and Curtis Ellerson and Winfield Ezell. You want to check this out, racial equity in the Seattle film industry. And then following that is our Friday Family Film Night, where Anthony Tackett will be presenting a film that he made, a documentary about uprisings following George Floyd's murder. It's called Black June. And he's been working on this. And so for those of you who've been following, you know what happened in the Chop and the Chaz, and maybe you saw Anthony taking film. Hey, this Friday, he's going to debut the film Black June. So definitely check that out. And then on Saturday, we've got Experience XP and OG Squeak Nutty Bug performing live. We had to cancel Squeak last couple of weeks ago because of the snow, but he'll be back this week. And so I don't know how much time I have. I've actually got more. That's a calendar of some stuff that's taken. But like I said, we're trying to do it big, you dig? So I'll see if I get the go ahead from you to take another minute.
Only because it's you, Tony B. We've got 2 more minutes for you. What else you got going on, brother?
Make it big.
Make it big, you did. Come on.
Okay. Well, check this out. We have a program called God Is that airs at noon on Sundays, and we'll be taking a look at listening to words from Dr. Bernice King discuss Martin Luther King's holidays and events. So that's going to really be cool. Musically, our show Jazz from the Cabinets, which airs at 6 o'clock on Tuesdays, will be featuring Black musicians like Don Byron, Abby Lincoln, Gil Scott-Heron, Kamasi Washington, and then also another music show that also airs at 8 a.m. and at midnight on the 27th. It's called The Mix, and we got Black history artists or artists from Black history like Chuck Berry, the Jacksons, Johnny Mathis, Percy Sledge, Prince, Jennifer Hudson. The spectrum of music is so vast. We also have a show called Story Time, where we have a lot of folks who read their favorite stories. And this week it's going to be stories from African-American artists, writers, or African-American influenced features for those pieces. And then to take it home, once again, you'll have an opportunity all week long to hear from our Northwest legacy builders and pioneers: Elmer, Dixon, Bernie, Foster, Omari, Tahir Garrett, Don Mason, Trish, Melanie Zyko, Vivian Phillips, Eddie Wright Jr., and an opportunity once again to hear about the Hartsfield Family Quilt Collection. Woo! I got it in. Thanks, y'all.
You did. And so, and Tony B, tell everybody how they can get up with Rainier Avenue Radio.
There's a number of different ways to listen. If you want to watch and listen, you can check out our Facebook feed, our Twitch feed, and then also YouTube. I recommend downloading the app. You can get it on Google, or you can get it on Apple. Just go to the store and search Rainier Avenue Radio. Then you can watch or listen with a click of a button. You can also just go to our website at rainieravenueradio.world, and you can always listen there. Again, with no hassle, or you can get the TuneIn app. You know what? You can even say Alexa Rainier Avenue Radio and listen. So we try to make it as easy as possible.
Believe me, Alexa already always listening.
Right.
Anyway, Tony B, Rainier Avenue Radio, thank you for the update on your programming for Black History Month and beyond, man. And again, salute to you and to the team over at Rainier Avenue Radio for you guys consistently uplifting voices in our community.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm going to comb my hair real quick.
Get this guy off the screen.
Bye, Tony.
There we go, Tony. All right. Now I'm looking back. That's better. Okay. That's my comb right here.
To you too, brother. So
Great. Yeah.
Always got a lot going on over there at Rainier Avenue Radio.
They have done some amazing stuff this month for Black History Month. And I love that there was a great collaboration to have him on every Monday this month, making sure that our audience is abreast as to the wide ranging of programming that they have going on. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is like we're together. You know what I'm saying? Is that we're competitive. We're all competing. Us, the Emerald, Rainier Avenue Radio, Medium, Facts, we're all competing for like a limited kind of group of eyes that have an affinity for our content. But the thing is that more than we're competitors, we're brothers.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always dope. We're gonna take a short break right now, and I found a really nice clip here to end the show with from CBS This Morning. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. So our last segment here, I came across this clip on CBS This Morning, and it's the story of Colonel Paris Davis, who served in Vietnam like valiantly. And actually, people had put in some paperwork for the Medal of Honor for him over decades, and every time like the paperwork had disappeared. And so now there's a push for him to actually get the Medal of Honor for his brave actions in Vietnam.
As we celebrate Black History Month, we're highlighting one of the first Black officers in the Army Special Forces, the famous Green Berets. The courage and valor of retired Colonel Paris Davis earned him the respect of his fellow soldiers in Vietnam and a nomination for the nation's highest military combat award. He never received the Medal of Honor. His file vanished at the height of the civil rights movement. Now, nearly 56 years later, senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge shows how Davis's heroism may finally be recognized.
1965. In Washington, anti-war protests raged. Bloody Sunday in Selma, Alabama, galvanized the civil rights movement. And in Vietnam, then Army Captain Paris Davis broke barriers on the battlefield.
Were you one of the first Black officers in the Green Berets?
Yes, I was.
How did that work?
It worked well because I said, look, you can call me Captain Davis, but you can't call me a nigger. And it did happen.
It's northeast of Saigon near Bong Son.
June 1965, Davis led a nearly 19-hour raid.
We were stacking bodies the way you do canned goods in a grocery store.
Hit by a grenade and gunfire, Davis would not leave behind Americans Billy Waugh and Robert Brown, both gravely injured.
Brown had been shot. I could actually see his his brain pulsating. It was that big. And he said, am I going to die? And I said, not before me.
Were you ever told to leave?
Well, twice.
As Davis first revealed in 1969 to an up-and-coming local TV host, Phil Donahue.
Well, I told him, sir, I'm just not going to leave. I still have an American out there.
And what did he say?
He told me to move out, and I just disobeyed the order.
There by Davis's side, Ron Dice, now the team's youngest survivor.
Captain Davis refused and said, no, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving while I have men out of the field.
General Westmoreland, who led U.S. forces in Vietnam, visited Davis's outpost, and his commander, Billy Cole, recommended Davis for the Medal of Honor. And then, somehow, the paperwork vanished in Vietnam. A 1969 military review did not reveal any file on Davis.
What makes the Paris Davis case stand out?
That it was lost. Everybody I've talked to that served under him says that he's the best officer they've ever served under.
What really stands out to me...
Neil Thorne volunteers his time to recover medals for overlooked veterans.
How common is it for Medal of Honor paperwork to be lost or destroyed?
Very uncommon. There would have been multiple copies.
In 1969, the Army was ordered to submit new paperwork ASAP for Davis, and for a second time, there is no evidence a Medal of Honor file was created. In a 1981 statement, Billy Waugh, whom Davis carried on his shoulders to safety, wrote, "I only have to close my eyes to vividly recall the gallantry of this individual." Over the years, Davis's teammates also lobbied Congress, but each time, the process stalled.
Do you think race was a factor?
I know race was a factor.
A factor Davis says he experienced during his 23 years in the Army. He recalls an encounter with another pilot he rescued while on a different mission.
I saw him at Fort Bragg with his wife and his kid. They saw me, he went on the other side of the street so he wouldn't have to speak. If that had been a white guy, he'd have gone over and hugged him. That's racism.
8% of Medal of Honor recipients for Vietnam were black. Now, as he approaches his 82nd birthday, there is new momentum to recognize Davis.
We're all trying to right a wrong.
The Army isn't commenting. An expedited review of Davis's lost nomination is due next week. The final call rests with the Defense Secretary and President Biden.
What would it mean to you?
It would mean all the things that I haven't been able to dream about.
For CBS This Morning, Catherine Herridge, Strasburg, Virginia.
Catherine Herridge, I'm speechless. Thank you so much for bringing us that story. Talk about righting a wrong.
Well,
talk about righting a wrong, and where you have people in his own command that said, I wouldn't be here if it not for him.
Yes, and actually brought to tears recalling the episode.
They got to make that right.
You gotta make it right. So we'll see what happens. But I see this story got you emotional.
Well, I mean, it's a tough one. It's always tough when we think about how our people have been treated throughout history, and this man right there, I mean, carrying people on his back, not leaving one of his men on the field. I mean, clearly he deserves this honor, period.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. This segment is fresh. It's just out today, and they said that it's going up there expedited review next week. And you have President Biden and the Secretary of Defense, black guy. You never know what the outcome might be. Any last words?
It is Monday, last week of Black History Month, last week of February. I can't believe we're already here. We've been dealing with so much over the weeks. But again, I love Tony B bringing in that amazing programming. It's just very uplifting. And that story right there, although they haven't honored him yet, the fact that it is now on the precipice of being honored, another great uplifting way for us to end the show.
Good stuff. So a few programming notes today. So today at 3:30, we're carrying the Black Brilliance Research Press Conference. I think we got a graphic for that. You can catch that here live at 3:30, anywhere that you are watching the Morning Update show. my understanding is it's a sneak peek of research, and also they're going to be taking questions from the local media. So this should be interesting. Want to tune into that at 3:30. And then 6:15 tonight, coronavirus update show with producer Nikki Barron. I think that's oh, you know what? Another good way is to support Converge. Our mugs are in now, and I think they're only like $12. It says go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. We got mugs right here. So, you know, always looking for, we always got to find inexpensive ways for people to be able to support what our mission here at Converge Media. So the mugs are out. You can go to whereweconverge.com/shop. And on that note, I will say this, that until tomorrow, please do go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. Until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.